Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to use generative AI and ChatGPT to conduct an industry analysis. This approach that we're going to walk through can be used to analyze any industry and get up-to-date and accurate information for your particular use case. There are many different reasons why you might want to learn about an industry. It could be part of an investment analysis or business expansion, or potentially researching a client or potential employer. This video will show you how to streamline the process so you can produce an analysis full of valuable information in only a few minutes. The goal here is to develop a well-rounded understanding of the industry so that you can make more informed decisions efficiently. The framework I'm using for this analysis is divided into 4 parts. For the industry overview, we create a specific definition of the industry and its scope, as well as identify any segments or subsegments within the industry and analyze its structure. In the supply chain analysis, we'll map the supply chain from inputs to end users, as well as identify any political or geographic risks or bottlenecks to the supply chain. For market analysis, we'll look at market size and growth, key trends influencing market demand, and also analyze historical demand fluctuations so we can define the nature of the industry. And then in the company analysis, we'll take a look at the top companies in each of the market segments, and then perform a financial analysis so we can get a sense of key metrics like profitability and growth. The process we're using in this video involves submitting 2 to 3 prompts for each of these parts to ChatGPT. Your framework and your prompts might look different from mine, but the best way to approach this is to look at it as an exploratory conversation. As you send prompts and review responses, you can verify specific information, dive deeper into specific topics, and also craft follow-up questions to refine your understanding. I'll be using the semiconductor industry as an example. This process can be applied to any industry, but I'm picking semiconductors because it's a fascinating and complex area with a lot to explore and unpack. I'm here on my ChatGPT Plus terminal. I'm just going to start with something really simple by asking for an industry definition that includes the industry scope, primary products and services, end markets, and geographic considerations. We're being provided with a brief industry definition here, and then it breaks the industry down into different areas like integrated circuits, optoelectronics, semiconductor, manufacturing equipment and materials. Talks a little bit about the major end markets: consumer electronics, automotive, data centers, cloud computing. And then some of the geographic considerations like the US leadership in design and R&D and Asia's leadership in production and raw materials. Let's use this prompt to get a little more information about some of the segments and subsegments. So here it's breaking the industry down again. Integrated circuits, so these include microprocessors like GPUs from NVIDIA, also memory, analog ICs, optoelectronics, sensors, equipment, materials, and assembly, packaging, and testing. It also identifies some of the top companies in these different sectors as well. And then finally, I'm also going to ask ChatGPT to analyze the structure of the industry. And it's providing a classification as primarily concentrated, significant dominance by a few leading players in key segments. And then it breaks this down, identifying Taiwan Semiconductors as a dominant foundry company, NVIDIA as dominant in the GPU market, talks a little bit about barriers to entry, and some other competitive information. Next, let's take a look at the industry supply chain. This prompt asks ChatGPT to map the supply chain from the inputs to the end products. The supply chain breakdown we're provided with starts with the raw material sourcing. This includes silicon wafers, specialty gases. It identifies some of the companies, top companies that provide these materials as well. Component suppliers, so wafer fabrication, semiconductor design, so these would be the fabless companies like NVIDIA, Qualcomm, AMD, and then also the integrated device manufacturers like Intel and Samsung. Wafer fabrication, so these are the foundries like Taiwan Semiconductor, down into the distribution channels and then some of the end markets as well. So this is fairly comprehensive, and this provides a good idea of how the supply chain operates. What I also want to do is just inquire about any political risks or bottlenecks in the supply chain. So right away, it's identifying correctly a significant portion of semiconductor manufacturing and raw material sourcing is concentrated in a few regions. So it talks about Taiwan. It talks about rare earth dependencies, with China being the dominant player in both production and processing. Political risks like the US-China trade war, US export controls on AI chips. So all of this information looks very useful, very current, very accurate. So from here, we can ask some follow-up questions as well. Maybe we want to inquire further about a specific topic. So I can ask ChatGPT to provide a more in-depth analysis of the US-China trade war and how this can impact companies in the semiconductor industry. So here I could just submit this, but what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to toggle the search function on, and this will allow ChatGPT to search the internet so it can give us current up-to-date information on the specific topic. And we can see here the response: the US-China trade war has profoundly impacted the semiconductor industry. And then it's just outlining some of these factors and then providing sources as well. So from here, if there's anything specific that you wanted to look into more deeply, you can do that through the sources and then continue to ask follow-up questions. The first thing I'm going to do for the market analysis is look at market size and growth. And what I want to do is I want to try and anchor the response to more reputable sources. So I provided some preferred sources here and other specific information. And I'm also instructing the model to provide proper citations and references for each source. I'm going to keep the internet search on because we want current information. And here we're getting some of the estimates from market research firms, many of which are preferred firms. And we also have sources for each of these, so we can confirm that this is accurate information. We're getting market size, market growth. And then all of this is even summarized in a table for us as well. So it's of course important when you're doing this to go through all of these sources and confirm that this information is accurate. Make sure that these are in fact credible sources that you're getting information from, because ultimately this is an internet search. Next, I'm going to inquire about any key trends in the industry, such as technological, regulatory, or shifting consumer behaviors. And we can see right away as it's identifying some of the technological advancements in artificial intelligence and robotics and how this is driving the computer chip industry. Talks a little bit about the geopolitical tensions and trade policies. Then more on AI with a shift in consumer behavior towards more AI-enabled devices and applications. And again, we have sources here, so we can inquire further into this and ask whatever follow-up questions we want in order to get deeper information on any of these key trends. But I'm going to move on here to an analysis of some of the historical patterns in customer demand and just categorizing the semiconductor market. It's suggesting some of the key indicators and metrics to follow, like global semiconductor sales revenue and market demand indicators in various areas such as PCs, smartphones, automotive, inventory levels, fab utilization rates. And it's giving the semiconductor industry a classification of cyclical due to the sensitivity to economic fluctuations, which I would agree. I would also say that you could classify it as a cyclical growth industry, but the model is providing additional information in terms of how the market has fluctuated historically, which is of course relevant to investors. The final part of this analysis is to look at the individual companies. This prompt instructs ChatGPT to identify the leading companies in each of the major segments of the industry and provide additional information on each of these companies. It's breaking the industry down into segments, including integrated device manufacturers, Intel being one of the leading companies. They're the pure play foundry companies, the largest of which is Taiwan Semiconductor, a market share of 61% of the third-party chip manufacturing market as of 2024. And we have a source for that information as well. There are the fabless companies, which focus on the design but outsource the manufacturing, the largest of which is NVIDIA, of course, memory manufacturers, equipment manufacturers, and these are the largest companies in the respective segments. What I want to do next is a financial analysis on these companies just to get a sense of what the margins and the growth look like. And there's a couple ways to approach this. I'm going to approach this with a single prompt, asking for a concise financial assessment of each of these companies. And I'm going to continue to have the search function enabled. Another way would be to approach each one of these companies individually, and you would probably be able to get better success in terms of accuracy and just depth of research. We can see here that this single prompt is providing information on each of these top companies. And again, we can go further into these companies with follow-up questions and more prompting. Now that we've completed all 4 parts of this analysis, we have a wealth of information about the semiconductor industry. We're going to use one more prompt in order to organize all of this information into a well-structured report. And I need to remember to turn off the internet search because we don't want it for this. I can see that it's automatically activating Canvas because it knows that this is a report. The report starts with an in-depth industry overview, and it basically presents everything that we covered in the analysis into a very well-structured and organized report that's full of valuable information. The great thing about Canvas is that we can modify this text directly inside of ChatGPT. We can also target specific parts of the report, ask follow-up questions, and continue to build on it. This analysis can be shared and used as a reference document when needed in the future. But ultimately, this was a fairly comprehensive analysis that we were able to do in really just a matter of minutes. And it serves as a great starting point to developing a solid understanding of this industry or any other industry that you want to analyze in the future. That's all for this video. If you're interested in seeing more content on generative AI for finance, then don't forget to subscribe to the channel and also follow me on LinkedIn. I'll be coming out with a lot more content in the future. Also, if you have any questions or suggestions, then please leave a comment. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.